To call us to order. Mr. Stansky.
Calling to order the University Impact District Review Board meeting for this month of September. As a reminder, our next meeting will be Thursday, October 24th, same time, 4 o'clock, in the same location. So we will go ahead and swear in staff. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Stephanie Kensler, Planning Division.
Go ahead and call for the roll.
Let's see, we're missing Mr. Flynn. Ms. Gundelman. Here. Ms. Parker.
Here.
And Mr. Reeves. Mr. Sublette.
Here.
Mr. Smansky. And no Mr. Matt. We do have a quorum, just barely.
The first part of our meeting is public forum. Is there anyone here to speak on any topic that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move to the approval of last month's meetings, August 24 meeting. Is there a motion? I'll make a motion to approve. Second.
There is a motion by Mr. Sublette, seconded by Mr. Semansky to approve the minutes from the August 2024 meeting. Ms. Gundelman.
Abstain.
Ms. Parker.
Abstain.
Mr. Sublette.
Yes.
Mr. Semansky.
Yes.
We do not have the votes to advance this at this time, so we'll continue with this. Or if David comes, we can start after the end.
Okay, we're done.
With that, we do have a short agenda, so we'll move on though to the first case, which is case COA 2400271 at 2010 High Street. We'll let staff do their report.
Okay. So as stated, this is COA 2400271 for 2010 North High Street. The applicant is requesting review and action of 2 proposed signs for a new tenant at 2010 North High Street. The proposal includes a new 11-foot by 1-foot 10-inch illuminated chandelier wall sign mounted on the eastway, as well as a new 5.56 square foot illuminated projecting sign. The submission includes site plan renderings and sign detailed specifications. Both of those could be. Here is the site plan. You can see we're about Woodruff here and high. It's in this section of the building with both sides of the building. This is the channel left sign. See here, we mounted on this metal panel. And then this is the projected sign, also going to be mounted up there on the metal. So upon review, the application is somewhat consistent with the university district plan. The plan recommends pedestrian-oriented signage, such as wall and projecting signs, and states that 2 signs per frontage are appropriate. The types and quantity of signs proposed are consistent with plan recommendations. The projecting sign is consistent with plan design guidelines, with the exception of some of the lettering smaller than the proposed 4 inches. The wall sign is generally inconsistent with the plan, as the lettering exceeds the 16 inches recommended, and the sign is not within the sign band of the building. Staff notes that the applicant advised that the placement of the wall sign is being driven by existing holes in the building from the previous tenant signage. While staff understands and supports its rationale, the sign itself could be redesigned to fit within the sign band using the existing mounting holes. For example, by reducing the size of the channel to not have them centered on the basement. As such, staff recommends a conditional approval, with the condition being that the wall sign be redesigned to fit within the sign band. Thank you.
Um, If you plan to speak, raise your right hand to be sworn in. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Want to have that, if there's any comments that you would like to add to staff's report?
Yes, so we did place the wall sign here. If you could go, yeah, to that image. It's shown at the bottom of the sign band. That's where the raceway would be placed at. We did that because the previous tenant sign band, it has this big ugly, ghosting on the wall from where it was. So we were trying to cover that up with the new raceway. That's kind of was our thinking behind this. Um, so I do want to add that. In terms of the projecting sign, the letters being 3 inches, that's just kind of how the logo works out. Most of it is bigger than 3 inches. I believe it's the gelato part that's 3 inches, but just kind of how the logo lays out and in that circle that we only have so much square footage allowance for that. So those are my initial comments, and I don't know if you have anything to add from that, Chris.
I think the only thing I would add is with completely understand the sign coming down and with the racetrack where it is, there is going to be, we're doing a European style, so there is going to be a glass garage door that comes up where that left door is, that's coming out. And there's going to be a display facing High Street there with the glass door that can come up. So the symmetry with the sign coming down would work well and the door coming up. So that would be I guess my only comment to that.
I guess I don't have any concerns about the side blade sign, I'll call it. I'm okay with how that's presented and the size and scale.
Excuse
So
me.
back to the signage on the band. I'm more inclined to, agree with staff's recommendations on this, on the size of it and, and that it needs to be centered within the sign band itself. I understand that there is an abnormal, condition with what was there before. That's not to say that that couldn't be repaired in order to place this new sign, in my opinion.
I guess my question was, the possibility of repairing the scar from the past sign, in terms, and complying with staff recommendation. So I mean, that's quite, there's a question mark at the end of that, in terms of wanting your comment.
Well, I think it's a metal sign band, probably aluminum, the material. So, I mean, I don't think you could try to like sand it down and repaint it. I think that's pretty much your only option unless you're gonna replace that entire aluminum material.
The sanding down wouldn't fix the holes though, right?
Yeah, and there is gonna be some penetration holes that, I mean, they were probably filled with like a silicone or before when it was removed. But yeah, I mean, painting over it is kind of just gonna be, the best you can do with it and trying to get as close as the color match as you can, but
Does your proposal create what we see in the picture where the, where essentially it's repaired in terms of?
yeah, we're not repairing any, we're not proposing any repairing of that right now. We're just proposing covering it with the new
But
rate.
you would totally cover it.
Correct, yeah.
I agree with Lori staff's comment, I mean, sign bands are there, I mean, that metal is not that whole length, there are sections that you can replace. If this was a brick, it might be easier to repair, or decided to do it in metal, and I don't think that we would just be, because we can't repair, we're gonna put the sign outside the same sign band. To me, it looks odd hanging down in front of the storefront. And it kind of just, it sets a precedent of, well, the sign band can't be repaired or whatever, we just place it as best we can to, for what's there. And so that's, I mean, I agree on the blade sign, I have no issue, with the blade sign, 3-inch letters. And so staff had mentioned the possibility of shifting it up and not having it centered on the raceway. I don't know if there's a way to make the raceway bigger and similar to the color of the sign band so that the sign still looks centered on the raceway, but it goes up further. But as proposed, I mean,
Mhm. Yeah, those, we could make it taller, the raceway itself, where it kind of is that entire band height. So it would just fit in that entire band height. And then we could better center the sign in that band overall. I believe it's 20 inches, that sign band right now in height. So right now we're proposing a 22-inch sign overall from the very highest parts. So that's something we could do, or we could just move the raceway up a little bit if you guys think that you could do something to repair that facade, but yeah, I mean, I think those could definitely be done, and we could find a way to make it work for everyone here, but. Do you think if the sign band is 20 inches, when we have it at 22 inches right now, you would want that to fit within that 20 inches, I think is what staff's recommendation was as well.
I mean, if that's a metal cable, there's the developer, like I said, some idea where
Yeah.
you could, the section that's behind the sign, there's two vertical seams that are hidden behind the sign, and then that raceway goes in the middle. I mean, that is not a huge repair. I mean, it's one thing if it was masonry, you
I
had
agree.
10 holes in it, trying.
It can be repaired. Can be repaired. And staff, what's your, recommendations? I can't get mine to come up, regarding the height. If you were talking there, it's out of compliance, correct?
So the reason I could not staff approve this was because the lettering was larger than 16 inches, which is the max for a wall sign. And then the fact it's not within the sign, so that's why I had very important. And then for the projecting sign, it was was a little.
So the 16 inches were at, 22, correct? With the signage height? Or not, the lettering height, not the signage height, correct?
The font size shouldn't be more than 16 inches.
It's like gelatos, 15. Yes, the screen is.
It's the ice cream that's creating the inconsistency.
Yeah, that's kind of why I would like to at least keep it 20 inches at the highest parts, because, parts of the sign like gelato aren't gonna be that tall anyways.
So I would say the options would be, it sounds like there's not support for it as presented, so I would say, if you made a motion to continue it, and if you all wanted the font size to be larger than 16, it is gonna have to come back to the board. So that's fine, or if you were to modify it to those two standards, and be within the sign band and be 16 inches or less, if you all are comfortable moving that to a staff approval, whether they could revise it.
If the sign band is 22, I don't have a with the letter, maybe 20 inches or something fitting in there, maybe larger than 16. I understand your point of. It's really just that portions of the letter, the majority of July is at 15, or it's gonna go down to probably 14 when you adjust the size. And so I don't have a problem with that. I it's just to fit within the sign band. And that, not,
And the sign band being repaired, and you're not seeing the scar.
So fit it in that sign band, and then you're looking for the raceway to be centered on the band. Gotcha.
So in that case, you all could motion to do a conditional approval with those being the conditions and making those staff. If you're comfortable with that. And what I'm hearing was that the metal facade be repaired, the raceway be centered, and that, the sign fit within the sign band, even if that means, if it's okay if the font is more than 16, as long as it fits in the sign band, it doesn't.
Do you want a separate motion for the projected sign size of letters?
I would prefer to keep together if that's okay, if these are like pretty minimal changes that you can make, and you guys don't mind keeping it all together as one package, that just makes it cleaner. You just continue to do a conditional approval for the whole application, once they make those changes, like just the color.
We don't need to make any changes to the projecting sign, right?
The blade, no. The blade is fine.
It's fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, we're fine keeping it together. Chris, I think if you think this is something that, like, I could revise the design and give them to him, or do you think it's something we would need to, like, table?
No, I think the plan that they laid out is fine. I don't think as long as the design isn't gonna change, I don't think the franchise or the landlord has to reapprove the sign. I think it'd be fine.
Okay, so yeah, I think we're fine with the conditions. You guys said
the sign band is 22.
the sign band's 20 inches.
Okay, so the sign would be, yeah, so I mean, I think we would be making motion that the sign shrink by 2 inches max. Signs like 2 inches to fit within the sign band, and the raceway be centered within the sign band for the 2 change it, and then the repair of the metal line.
But the overall design is
Correct. Correct.
So the lettering right now, so we're saying the biggest thing right now is 22 inches, so you're saying you're okay with font size up to 20 inches, is that what I'm hearing? If the sign band is 20 and you're okay with 20, it's gonna take up the entire space. You all are okay with that? That's fine, I just want to make sure I'm, or if there's something else, but that's fine, it's 18 or. I just can't stop for it for 60, but you know.
Yeah, I guess that's the one problem, not seeing it there, I mean, you guys are, yes, but I mean, taking up that whole spot, I mean, it would be ideally that there would be some space between the top and bottom, so it's not to be flush, but that means to.
Which, I mean, it's gonna sit on that raceway, it's gonna have some depth anyways. So, I mean, I don't think, since it's gonna be off the wall a little bit and it's not flush because it has that raceway, I think it would be fine being 20 inches, and I think it would kind of look right.
I agree with it, because prospectively, when you're standing and looking at it, you're gonna see the projection up, and it's gonna look bigger than it is.
I think the main thing we were looking for going a little bit bigger is because it's a sunken space. It's Wendy's and what is it, a sushi place are coming out.
Yeah.
So this one comes back in by about 5 or 6 feet.
Yeah, that whole storefront is kind of recessed in there. So.
I mean, you have a huge issue with the back being, so that there's the space, I mean, it sort of feels like it's not pushing against the bottom and the top. 'Cause it looks like in that picture, there's a little bit of a bevel cornice.
That's like that.
I think it might be best to table it, because if it goes down, if the I and the M go down by 4 inches, what does that do to the rest of the structure of the sign? It may have to. I'm thinking we may need to table it, and, because I don't know,
Start to come out, you start getting to where it's exactly
See,
height, and as what you said, it's projecting, you're gonna start. That. With that coming out like this, and if your sign's right there.
what's the REA? So it's the same as July.
Yeah, so gelato's 15 inches right now.
So if we kept those at 15, these came down to 18, let's change that.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that where we just keep these 15. And these,
What's this?
that's, it's 22 right now,
So that's the same size as the I.
is the I and M, yeah, those are basically the tall.
So that would have to come down to 18 as well.
Yeah, basically the ice cream logo, the I and the M, yeah.
So the difference between 22, the S is one that. The S is,
Doesn't really have a dimension for that.
I'm just wondering, so 22 to 15, which I would say inches, now you're going 8. The fifth to 3
you
inches.
could go to the street view and see if the other big signs on the.
You basically have this, it's parts at an inch.
Which I don't think is a huge.
I wish I could Google Maps.
How different is that going? That's going to be the same if we keep it at 15, or even if it shrinks to 14.
Yeah, I have to do it.
But shrinking this by 4 inches, you have to shrink from this as well. I think the structure of the design stays the same, but I think everything would have to shrink. I don't think you can shrink this without shrinking.
Yeah, I think to keep it consistent, it's all gonna have to get a little smaller.
Mhm. But the structure of the design is remain the same.
Yeah, it would still pretty much the same, it just all kinds of coming from both ends.
Okay.
I think we can't say anything with the Wendy's where the quality is the recipe. I mean, that's kind of the
On the street.
same thing. It fits in that band. It's got a little bit of that consistency is what we'd like to see. I know it's not in the same plane that this is set back, but it's that same sign band.
Developing the same look, I understand.
Yeah.
I think that if we stick with the plan of conditional approval and I was just concerned about the structure of the design staying the same, but I think we can make it work.
So can I make a motion?
You could, or if anyone else wants to do it.
Okay, I move to additionally approve the application as submitted with following changes or conditions. That the sign, raceway, the sign being centered on the raceway. That the maximum sign height fits within the sign band.
Whatever you back to.
With them, if it's max 22 inches that we need to have.
I wrote down font size and larger than 18 inch.
18. And that the sign band mount be repaired so that no scars are visible.
So we within in terms of what you can staff approve, it comes back to you or does it come back?
You all can designate, like, as a part of the motion, if you say that these conditions are staff approval, I can staff approve. So you can kick anything to that staff, I just have certain things that are like by right, liability
Yeah,
staff
yeah.
approved, but if you say this is fine, we just staff approve. I think it's staff approval. So, is that the intent for staff approval?
And the intent is that you would resubmit to staff approval.
So that was, I'm gonna read this back to you, so I don't misrepresent any of that. That was the motion for a conditional approval with the conditions to be approved by staff that the metal facade on the sign band be repaired. to remove the scars from the previous sign. That the sign, that the raceway for the new sign is centered on the sign band. And then that the font size of the new wall sign be no larger than 8 inches. So we have a motion, we need a second.
I'll second.
Seconded by Mr. Sublette. Ms. Dunzelman,
Yes.
Mr. Sublette,
Yes.
Mr. Semansky.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you.
Our next case is COA 2400257 at 2108 High Street.
Thank you. The applicant is requesting review and action on proposed signage for a new tenant at 2108 North High Street. This proposal includes a new 10-foot 9-inch by 5-foot 6-inch illuminated wall sign and a new 16.17 foot by 3.5 foot by 3 foot awning with text on the valence. The submission includes site plans, rendering, and signage detailed specifications. I'll go through those quickly. Here you can see the building, north side, and the sign, the sign awning will be on the side of the building as well. Just an aerial, see, old Papa John's where this is going. And here is a rendering. You can see the awning here with that text on the valance, and then the new wall sign here. And then here are the details for those signs. The wall sign, you can see the dimensions of the font, the overall size of the sign, power, the mounting details, and then here is just a specification on the font for the awning. So with that, the proposal is generally consistent with the University District Plan. The plan recommends pedestrian-oriented signage such as wall signs and states that 2 signs per frontage are appropriate. Awning signs are also appropriate if the graphics are limited to the valance, do not take up more than 50% of the area, and utilize font between 6 and 8 inches. The proposed awning is generally consistent with the plan recommendations, other than font size is only 4.5 inches. The wall sign is somewhat consistent with plan recommendations, with the exceptions being the font size exceeds the 16 inches recommended, and the overall height of the sign is too large relative to the area between the transom and the cornice of the building. Staff is supportive of the smaller text on the awning valance, as the text to area ratio is consistent with plan recommendations. Staff does not support the oversized wall sign, as the font size and overall size are inconsistent with plan recommendations. Staff could support a larger font size than 16 inches if the height of the sign was no larger than 2.5. Staff recommends a conditional approval, with the condition being a reduction in the height of the wall sign to no larger than 2.5 feet.
Yeah. Why you did you read the writing? Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Do,
Anything you would like to add to staff's report?
this would.
Yes.
My name is Steve Moore. I'm with Moore Signs out of Westerville, Ohio. Working for National Awning and Signs, and they are the national contractor for Potbelly restaurants. This will be what, your 5th store?
Yes.
This will be 5th store in Central Ohio. This is Justin. He's the regional manager for Potbelly. After we received Stephanie's report, it's obviously recognized that that sign's a little bit too big. We're in a little bit of the same situation as Ice Cream was with the way the design of the word Potbelly is, where the P and the Y are much taller than the center of the letter, the font. So it's really hard to meet the criteria and have an effective signage. I did do some revisions to the artwork, and I'd like to pass them out to y'all. If you can see, try to compromise a little bit. Can I go through here, Stephanie? Thank you.
Watch for towards.
Yeah. No. Graphics machine. We reduced the overall height of the sign, sort of compromise between the 18 or the 16 that is in criteria. So I went halfway with a 22-inch P, and of course the Y up to 23.7, because it's got a descender as part of the logo. It's in its arch. That gives it some more balance between in the sign band with some negative space at top and bottom. I did some calculations on what Stephanie asked and recommended, and found that if I were to make the sign at 2'6", the word Potbelly would be an overall height of only 12 inches. Way below the criteria. So wanted to bring this to you and see what y'all thought about this. See if we could work on a compromise.
I can start.
I just have one question for staff. So, I mean, 2'6", this kind of seems the opposite of what we had before. We had this really small sign, and here we have this huge forehead on this. The first was like 2'6", seems like, I agree.
So this one is just a little bit wonky because the university district plan has like hyper specific guidelines when it comes to graphics. That's why we're talking about font size and not whether or not it's appropriate. But so there is a standard in the plan that says wall signs should be limited in size to a maximum width of 2/3 of the width of the building front. So check that one, that's fine. Maximum height of 1/3 of the height of the space between the ground floor transom and the second floor windowsill or leaves cornice on one-story building. So that's where it was just the math of how much space is between here and here, and then what 1/3 of that is for the 2'6" recommendation. And as far as it being something being staff approval, like it has to be consistent, so since it's not, I have to tell you that, and then you all say whether you think that is safe.
Okay.
I've got drawings here that shows it 2'6", if you want to see it.
I'm curious.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that I was concerned with is with the original sign was it really looked too big, but it was also obscuring the,
There wasn't a negative space, too.
yeah, some of the architectural elements, which are the two square elements. The second presented sign looks more appropriate. It looks within scale to what the other sign was. And I would also say that, you know, the P and the Y are the bigger of the entire font size. So it feels like it scale wise, it works better within the whole facade.
We try to look at it as not just the facade, but the building as a whole, balancing the whole building.
What is the dimension of the in the one that the newly proposed signage, how tall is the B and the E and the T, do you know?
You know, I didn't think to measure those, but I see that the 22 on the P, I would guess that the B would be probably about 10 inches.
No, it's not 10,
It's half,
might be 18.
well, I can do this.
I think it's 2 inches on the top and 2 inches on the bottom, maybe.
It's, that's 22. Let me just do something. 22. It's about, yeah, it probably more like 14 to 16 inches on the B. It's not quite half. That's what B. Yeah, it's about, the B is about 2/3 of the height of the P.
I get the second version feel much more appropriate. This is neither here nor there, but I really wish the storefront was in red.
Yes. Right.
We wish it what?
The storefront wasn't red.
Wasn't that approved by the University Impact District?
Well, I think it was with the previous
Oh,
plan, and it's the red in Papa John's.
oh.
That was there, this with the.
Oh,
yellow.
you mean the window framing?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the brick.
Oh,
I get you,
but
I think.
that's not it.
Oh, that,
Unfortunately, so I would say that I'm in favor of the revised proposal, because I agree that a 2'6" would be out of place. This, as Lori pointed out, I think fits nicely between those two architectural elements, the time and the band at top, and no longer you have a light that was there. It was good.
Yes, I agree with what they're saying. This looks way better. The font size on the awning, I think looks fine, you know.
we could reach what you requested. What is the minimum font size for?
I think it's like a half inch off.
Yeah.
You go 3.5, but I think the plan is.
The only way, you could raise the height of the balance to get the font bigger, and then you'd have to manipulate the 50/50. So it's possible to do it, but I think staff's okay with the awning the way it is.
So if we approve this and we say like, we approve with what you had the staff recommendations, but he didn't submit this, so then how does that work? What does he have to do?
I would say you would just make a motion to approve as amended, and then they would need to submit me the digital version of this. And if what is submitted matches this, then
So I would resubmit to you with electronically and all that, so you have it on record, rather than just this. Okay, I understand.
Anybody else have anything else before we vote?
Okay.
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve, with the contingency.
you can just say approve as amended.
Approve is amended.
Okay, cool.
I second.
Thank you.
That would be a motion by Ms. Parker to approve the application as amended, seconded by Ms. Guzman. Ms. Guzman,
Yes.
Ms. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Sublette,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
You guys gotta come and eat at Potbelly. They make a good sandwich.
Oh, I love.
I ate there yesterday.
Thank you.
Oh, you have it? Oh, yeah.
Hot peppers are
Really.
Yeah, it's the best part of it, Jenny.
My whole face red.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Next, we did have 3 staff approval. Do we into the record?
No, normally what we do is if you, I can just give you the the highlight reel of what each of them is, and then you can look them in more detail if need be, but then we would just do a motion to include them in the record. So the first one is just minor building changes to a previously approved project. A minor change in the gutters, they swapped out a style of guardrail, and then there was one window, and then they switched the style. The next one was the rear door and storm door. Then we had one that was an HRC concurrent for landscaping. It was a concrete patio and stairs in the rear, and then the last one was 2 rear windows. Roofless. All pretty minors.
Questions or discussion?
I approve. Need a motion. I make a motion to approve.
Jesus, can we just put that in record? Not approved.
Just me.
I second.
That was a motion to adopt the staff approvals into the formal record by Ms. Parker, seconded by Ms. Guzzelman. Ms. Guzzelman?
Yes, sorry.
Ms. Parker?
Yeah.
Mr. Sullivan?
Yes.
And Mr. Smansky?
Yes.
Motion carried. With that, we could stand adjourned. We will have some legislative.
Well, you received last month's record.
Yeah.
4:46, y'all. Good job.
We done it in half an hour, but
So.
I didn't think the first time you think it was gonna be that complicated.
Is it the same applicant though for that 2711? No, so there's